Want to engage more? Join us on the Analysis in Chains Telegram group. Check us out on Telegram at Analysis in Chains.
This is the Analysis in Chains with Nathan Williams and Neil Kieran.
Greetings, my lovelies. Nathan Williams here. I had an interview all lined up for you. Unfortunately, due to the train not running on time, my interviewee was not able to make the interview, so we will get you a fresh interview with a hot, young, blockchain company soon. And in the meantime, I wanted to quick tell you some things that I've been thinking about. As you know, I recently was in California, and I was speaking to a bunch of old school companies, big companies, and a lot of them have been experimenting with blockchain. A lot of people are looking at getting their documents on the blockchain, increasing efficiency, having private blockchains, especially for trading data between departments or between companies. And it's good to see. You know, it's not often that I get to put my finger on the pulse of what people who are really working in the industry are thinking, investing, and actually doing. But nevertheless, I still feel there's a great misunderstanding of what blockchain is. So last week, for example, I shared the stage with Cisco. They've been doing a lot with blockchain, and we were talking about blockchain, and I asked the audience, you know, how many people consider themselves blockchain experts? And I got laughs. And there were about 80 people, and most of them had, you know, been in companies where they had started working with blockchain or had made blockchain investments or pilots even. But nevertheless, most people felt they didn't quite understand what it was or why they were doing it. But I still take this as a positive thing, because everyone in the room had heard of blockchain, even if they didn't quite understand it. And most of them recognized that it was important. And I think that's going to be really key for blockchain adoption going forward. The other thing I've been thinking about, and I actually wrote a Medium post on this, and I think it's been posted. Anyway, if you check my Medium and it's not posted yet, then check in a couple of days, it'll be up there. I've been thinking about the danger of centralization, and I think I even talked a bit about this in an earlier episode with the guys from Blockhead. But one of the things about centralization and, you know, the danger of sort of big companies coming in and sort of centralizing the wealth potential that's in blockchain, the reason it's a danger is because the average person just wants their apps to work. They want the blocks to work, and they don't realize how disruptive decentralization can be. And can we blame them? Because the average blockchain person doesn't realize how powerful decentralization can be. And what I mean is this. I want you to think about Bitcoin. Bitcoin started with someone that wanted a new financial system. This Satoshi Nakamoto, he didn't pre-mine any Bitcoin and give any to his friends. He or she or they didn't do an ICO where 30% were given to investors. Now, I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. In fact, I actually think that's kind of helpful. But what they didn't do is he didn't take a centralized fee. No, he said, okay, well, there's going to be fees taken from the different miners, but it's completely decentralized. There was no central company, and that's why it was powerful. And what we see with most blockchain projects that came out in at least 2017 was quite the opposite. There's, a certain amount of tokens that were given to the individuals who invested in the project, were running the project. And of course, that makes a certain amount of sense. What didn't make sense was the centralized fees that you started seeing crop up. It's like, oh, we've got to use your system. And so that you had competing protocols. And I think that this is exactly the same as if a big company came in. It's just new small companies wanting to be big companies. And, you know, I guess I can't really blame people for wanting to make it big in this economy. I would like to make it big. But the challenge is that these efforts to centralize and control and amass wealth by using a decentralized protocol really go against sort of the spirit and the power that's in the decentralized protocol. And so for everything where you see, okay, well, we're going to have a decentralized protocol, but we have a centralized fee, think about what it would be like if you didn't have that centralized fee, if you didn't have that middleman. And that's where I really think we're going to see the power of blockchain in making these infrastructures without a central entity running them. One way that we can do that and still operate in a traditional economic model is sort of like the internet does it. You just have a decentralized infrastructure and no one makes money off of it, like TCP/IP, or HTTP. No one makes money off of the protocol. And then you have an app that uses it that makes money. You know, that's, and I think that that's possibly the way of the future. You know, you have a decentralized protocol running on tokens, and sure, you can incentivize and give tokens to the people that built it. The tokens maybe pay for the entity that runs it, but the entity that runs it should be nonprofit. I like, you know, maybe the way Dash does it. That's a pretty good model. And then the apps that get built on it are the value add, and that's where you can charge fees and make your money. But I think really what I would love to see is more things that are like Bitcoin, where it's really meant to run in a completely decentralized way. And it ends up being completely disruptive because there's not a profit motive behind it. And the reason I think that this is interesting is because the profit motive is just one human motivator that blockchain has been able to take advantage of. So we make money, tokens, valuable items, and we get value into the system because people demand the valuable items, and then we give value out of the system by giving those tokens to something. So, for example, incentivizing people to contribute data. Some people want the data, they buy tokens, and then they use the tokens to give it to the people who have data, and then that rewards the people to give data. Great idea. That's a interesting model, but it's purely financial. And almost every blockchain project I've seen has been pure finance. But my question is, can we run a blockchain system that uses other types of motivators? Now, I want you to think just very, very quickly about what these other types of motivators are. I use the acronym CAMPS. So cash is a motivator, sure, but you also have autonomy, mastery, purpose, status. I could probably think of some others, maybe relationships. But, you know, I've had people approach me with ideas, how can we motivate people to do more charity work? Well, maybe what we'll do is we'll give them tokens. You're just paying them. People don't do charity work because they want to get paid. People want to do charity work because they want to have a higher purpose. They want to contribute to society. Or maybe they want to have a sort of an elite status. Like, imagine being a Wikipedia editor. No one does that because they get paid. They do it because they're a member of an elite group guarding human knowledge that's really hard to get into for the status or for the higher purpose of guarding human knowledge. And so how can we incorporate that? Maybe the money doesn't have to go to us. Maybe this is something for the ERC 721 tokens. And this is what I think in the long term, the really disruptive blockchain protocols should be thinking of. How can we decentralize? How can we move away from a pure economic or a pure financial reward model? And how can we really change the way we operate as a society? Is it possible that we can change the way the news is delivered? Is it possible that we can change the way we think about what an identification is, or what a nationality is, or what is belonging to a state entity? What is belonging to a collective organization that defends each other or gives each other negotiating rights with other state entities? What if you can have something that's decentralized, that's based on peers or like ideas from around the globe? What can we really break out of our traditional models and do if we start being creative? So that's the thought I'm going to leave on. I don't have answers today. It's just beginnings of thoughts. And I guess it was 10 minutes, so it's not a complete cop-out episode, even though we didn't have an interviewee. So I'll leave you with that. And till next time, my lovelies, keep on hashing.